All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. I gotta get my race info pulled up here. All my tools aren't working. Hold on a second. Well, while we get everything working here, Brendan, I'm gonna drag you on here. So welcome. Glad to have you back in the booth. And why don't you tell us about your experience last week behind the wheel of these trucks that we got to race at, I believe, Daytona, if I'm not mistaken.
It was quite an education. It's the first time I've been in the trucks on the super speedways in a while. They've changed some things since my last experience in it, and it was pretty eye opening. You know, in the old days, you could push, and the better pushers were going to be the guys that were taking you to the front. But it was really difficult to push. Honestly, you can ride and bide your time and take advantage of just riding in the draft, but if you needed to push to catch up to another pack, it was, I mean, almost impossible to do it. So it was kind of eye opening to see how good some of these guys that do it day in and day out, how good they are at it, and how they keep it together. But it also explains when it goes wrong, why it goes wrong so majorly.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So I'll say right now, drivers putting down their qualifying laps. I was saying while that's going on, I got to figure out some technical difficulties here because for some reason, all of my overlays are not showing up here. So give me a moment. I'm going to try to get this fixed and hopefully get that going here. But just a moment. So yeah, apologies for the hiccups here. Not sure what's causing my troubles, but we'll get this going as soon as we can. All right, so yeah, so again, welcome to Green Checker TV. Apologies for the hiccups here. Say not sure what's going on, but having some big issues with our overlays here. So I'm gonna try to get everything going here. But you can see front row is gonna be the one of Gabe Butler. Second place, Vicente Guerrero, Dean Wilkinson, J.D. Crow, Dale Willoughby, our top 5. Then you got B.K. Anderson, Eric Laurie, Jack Walls, Maxwell Caldwell, Jimmy Reynolds, our top 10. And then it looks like 33 trucks total here tonight. So let's say we're going to be basically, Brandon, I probably have to have you kind of run the show here while we get things rolling. And so I'm going to be working in the background, try to get everything built back in. So yeah, again, my sincerest apologies, everybody. But hopefully we'll get this nailed back in here very shortly.
Sorry again. As we're working through a little bit of technical difficulty, Gael is working on the background of that, trying to get that up and running again. We've got a long race tonight. I'm probably not going to be able to do it run the show quite as smoothly as Gael does. But while he's working on that, trying to fill in the gaps here as we come to the first, come down the front straightaway. The pace car drops off, and we're getting ready to go green. We've got 75 laps, and long race ahead of us, and we'll see how it all shakes out. Green flag is in the air. We've got Gabe Butler leading us across the start-finish line. We are 2 by 2. Looks like about 20 rows deep. We've got so many cars here. Good car count tonight. We will see how long it takes for these guys to shake out as Gabe Butler sticks his nose out in the lead and takes the early advantage.
Yeah, right now let's say 2x2, everybody's going to build up speed and everything, and say still playing with stuff in the background too. And yeah, I'd say again, sincerest apologies. Not sure what or why is happening, what's happening, but I'm still going after it here. But yeah, right now, say these guys holding 2x2 here through 3 and 4.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of the same guys up front as the race progresses, but as usually is the case, you'll see that kind of ebb and flow a little bit. But the one that you pretty much know is always going to get there at some point is the one of Gabe Butler. But the past 2 weeks, we've seen Vicente Guerrero come on strong, and he's doing a great job leading that outside line with the 5 of J.D. Crow pushing him. As we've got 1 lap in the books, working on about halfway through our second lap here. You're starting to see everybody kind of find their partner. They want to find their dance partner at this point. It fans out a little bit at the back. you always see a few different strategies at this point in the game, and typically what that comes down to is the drivers who want to get to the front as fast as possible, and the guys who want to get out of the hornet's nest as quickly as possible as well. So really what I typically expect is you're going to have a handful of guys that are going to just race for 75 laps. You're going to have other guys that are just going to try to bide their time and just be available when the opportunity arises. Right now, still 2x2. No one taking the early advantage at this point. Usually, you'll see that low line take a little bit of an advantage early on, but Vicente Guerrero, and as we see Gabe Butler drop off to the inside, looks like he wants to get to the back as well, and see if Vicente Guerrero can use that to take a little bit of a lead here.
Yeah, you saw right there Gabe Butler, I think, got the lap lead he wanted to. He's going straight to the back here. So, yeah, so right now that's actually allowed the inside line of Dean Wilkinson to really start to propel forward in that number 55.
Yeah, kind of an interesting development there. Usually when you see a car drop out of line, you'll expect to see that line drop to the back. And really what happened there was one car got out of line, and then all of a sudden everybody just gained more momentum on the low side. So the top line, a lot of cars in it. Looks like they're well formed, but it might take them a little bit of work to get back up to that top spot, as we've got 4 cars out front, followed by 2x2, about 10 rows deep. We've got a challenge for the lead as well. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are playing that strategy. Well, I say a lot of people. It looks like everybody that can is playing the strategy of get your lap led and get out of town. Right now, you got the 7 of Dale Willoughby leading the pack, being pushed by the 071 of Eric Laurie. And I'll be interested to see if those guys stick around up front. You know, we've seen Dale up front here off and on as the season has progressed, but he's probably not one of the guys that are there week in and week out. But looks like he's doing a great job leading that low line and still have an advantage over that top line. But then as we see Dale drop to the inside, he's playing that card as well, wanting to see how quickly he can get to the back now that he's got that extra point.
All right, I am back. I think we do have timing the scoring. Once again, not sure what's happened. As I actually see Dale will be down in the apron there, as everybody trying to bobble around to avoid him. So I think now it's been a few laps, but I think finally now I can feel like I'm not trying to do 3 things at once. So Brandon, thank you so much for covering for me. But yeah, we do indeed have that ticker on the left side here. So apologies for that. And I'm actually got to thank my wife there for a lot of help. And I'll say she's working on her streaming skills as well, and she's able to put some of those skills to use to help me kind of pretend like I know what I'm doing here with Green Light Checker TV. So definitely a big thank you to my wife, Stina.
Yeah, I could have used a Stina in the booth on my side of things there. I don't have quite the expertise and the experience of leading the show like you do, but as we see Eric Laurie jump to the high side, I think he wants to get his lap led as well. He's not content to ride second behind the 14 of Vicente Guerrero.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, a big move from the middle to the bottom right in front of Vicente. So the thing is, I've seen sometimes these drivers, they move down too soon, and when they do that, it actually really shakes things up a little bit where the outside line gets that momentum they need, and then they can kind of propel themselves to lead that lap. And it looks like it might still be Eric here at the line, and indeed it will. He will get that lap led. So now the curiosity, does he kind of return what these other guys have been doing and get that lap led and drop straight to the back? Because it is starting to get a lot more busy up front here in this, as we see the 02 truck there of Seth Gruber working that third line, and no surprise to see Keith Horner up there. And yep, here they go straight to the apron as if it's clockwork. It's definitely these guys, I think maybe last week maybe shook them a little bit, because Brandon, I mean, you can talk about that a little bit as well with your experience with the trucks, getting to run some laps there. How intense was it, that 2-3 wide racing, and of course a couple of some massive wrecks there last week?
Yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag, honestly. It was a learning experience, no doubt. We went through the entire race, and a lot of it was just run, maintain your place, get your stops, but then we would have a rash of yellows. I think the surprising thing for me was how difficult it was to maintain momentum. In the past, these bumpers would line up a little bit better, and you could maintain momentum and even push the guy in front of you. and really get some good runs. But it was really hard to make any contact at all last week. So kind of an eye-opening experience for me. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these guys, they get out of the way as we see a little bit of contact, it looked like, up front.
Oh, yeah, I think it was J.D. Crow that had to kind of react and get down to the apron. And I say what's happening is all this shuffling around. It's really thrown off our running order here. You see the 46 and the 32 now. They're down on the apron. But this has really spread the pack out by a fair margin. And something that I didn't see this whole at this point earlier, which I say not sure if it was related or not, but Scott Ferguson in the number 4 truck, he's about 5 seconds off the pack here. Just unfortunately kind of stuck off on his own here in that number 4 Winston Ford F-150. So Scott's in a tough spot here. He's gonna need a yellow basically to get back in the thick of this thing here. Unfortunately, in that 4, but. Yeah, we kind of split up in a couple of little groups here. Not too big of a gap, but Jack Walls has definitely a little bit of a margin between him and those trucks in front. So should be no problem. They should be able to get all back up into the thick of things. But definitely a tale of a couple different races right now. As you can see, the lead pack here looks like about 3 by 3, about 4 rows deep it looks like. And then the rest of the field here, I think, again, starting to give each other a lot of space.
Yeah, last week was a little bit of a different beast because we went to Daytona, and Daytona's a good bit more narrow than Talladega, as we see a little bit more movement up front. I think what that did last week is it kind of kept things to 2 wide racing for the majority of the race. At Talladega, these guys have no issue whatsoever going 3 wide, and you see a lot of the same guys as we always expect to see the Groover brothers get up there, and they're leading that second line. So. It's Talladega and Daytona really look very similar on paper, but then when you see them in person, they are completely different. So, it wouldn't surprise me if this thing will string out a little bit, but then, come back into 3 wide racing and kind of mix things up again pretty soon.
Yeah, that I don't disagree with at all. And I say if you're enjoying it here tonight, next week, stay tuned because let's say, again, these guys are going probably about what, 180, 190 or somewhere in that range with the trucks here. At about 30, 40 miles an hour to these guys next week at iRacing Superspeedway, 3-mile oval. I'll say no restrictor plates. These guys are going to be going full song into some very, very steep corners and probably one of the most difficult pit roads as well. So I think that's going to be a wild one. So we didn't run iRacing last season, so it's going to be kind of a relearning experience, if you will, for a handful of these drivers.
Yeah, I've never been able to broadcast that track, but you don't have to worry about me trying to take the week off to race on that one. I think that's one of those tracks that you better have your stuff together. You better have a good grip on the wheel because that one, it's so easy to get out of line and get together with another car. Super tight turns, super steep, and like you said, that entry onto pit road is probably the trickiest in all of the racing that we see.
Yeah, it's a very, very steep transition from the banking to the flat, even on the straightaways. And then, of course, again, carrying that much speed to have to get it all the way low down. So, it looked like a little close call there between, I think it was the 09, or no, I'm sorry, the 04? No, 09 of William George and the 5 of J.D. Crow. But it looks like both trucks are okay, but probably a little bit of kind of a little pucker, if you will, there from those guys. So, however... We got Mario and Yoshi. They found each other once again and said they were running side by side for a little bit. And they said, all right, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's drop back in line here, which is going to kind of propel them a little bit forward here. But it's also bringing in that 124 of Gaetano Papalardo, as a last week's winner at Daytona. So we'll see. We'll see if he can maybe try to get 2 in a row here. Because right now, so you look at the race winners, you got Patrick right there in that mix. You got Gaetano right there as well. So race number 3 here of the season, and yeah, they're all together.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought that, and maybe I was right. For a second, I thought that Patrick and Seth were going to use a little bit of a different tactic. Usually, they're just bumper to bumper, locked up, and working their way to the front. But I don't think this is a terrible strategy on their part. Maybe to try to just go ahead and lead both lines, and then they can decide it by themselves. But as we see the Nesquik car, the 124, move down to try to get his lap led, I don't think he's going to allow that to happen right now.
Yeah, so there's only so many games you can play before someone else is going to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and hop back up here. However, I don't think that lap lead is going to happen because when those two get hooked up together, they are monsters. And look at that momentum they get just from off of turn 4 to heading down through Tribal back into the start-finish line. And I think they're both going to look at that. Both are going to clear. Big move there, but actually the O2 doesn't have enough time to get back to the inside, so they're both going to control this middle line. As I say that, I got nervous there, but obviously Seth and Patrick know what they're doing with one another there. So these guys are definitely keeping it interesting here. But now you got Chummy Miller in the 04 here, trying to work that third lane. He's got some teammates lined up right behind him here.
Yeah, the Groover's kind of moving up and down and changing lines. I think it's going to play against them a little bit. They're probably the best pushers in the group, but at the same time, you need a little bit of help here. So that top to bottom is going to work against them. I think people are going to lose a little bit of faith and not want to push them quite as well. But they still have a way of just making it work, and the group still just kind of packs up behind them, and they're going to lead another lap here.
Yeah, definitely a stout showing. Like I said, yeah, they're definitely working the lanes a little bit more, and that just might be again just maybe trying to learn, maybe see what they can learn from, adjust for future races. I mean, this is probably a time to start messing around with stuff. Okay, we've done this before. Let's try doing this. See if this works. Like I said, we always seem to think. It seems to me at least that drivers feel like that middle lane is probably the lane to be in at the closing points of the race to make those passes happen. Maybe we see these guys decide, all right, you know what? Let's see if we can make the low line at some point be the more dominant lane. So things like that will definitely be things to keep an eye on over the course of the race and over the season as well. So but right now, yeah, things definitely starting to settle in a little bit. And I say with everything that was going on and then trying to catch back up, I say the laps have really blinked by these first 15 here as we start lap number 16 now. And that's going to be the thing here, Brandon. We got probably about 5-6 more laps. I think we're probably going to see potential green flag pit stop attempt number 1 from these drivers here very shortly.
Yeah, that was probably the first thing I noticed about the racing last week. Right there, 4 to 5 laps before your typical pit strategy or your pit time, that's usually when things would kind of calm down. Everybody wanted to kind of find their place on the low line, because some of these guys will take a little bit of an early pit stop and take a little bit of a strategy race here. It's typically a 3-stop race, but some of these guys will play a little bit of strategy, hope they get a caution at the right time, and can be sitting out front, which caught me out last week. I was ended up pitting about a lap late, but right now we've got a great battle up front, and as soon as I say that they're going to calm down, that second line just pops right back in, and I don't think everybody's ready to drop down just yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of different approaches as well, where you'll see drivers, they'll be aggressive, get that lap leg drop to the back like we saw earlier. I'm saying, honestly, usually when I'm in these plate races, I kind of run the opposite approach there, where I really take it easy on the opening laps to try to kind of find that single file line. So for instance, I'd probably be cruising right around, I'd say, where Keith Horner is here currently, right around him or Dean Wilkinson, probably just kind of cruising right at the edge of that the 2 to 3 white racing. But then when everybody starts ducking in to get to the apron and get ready for some green flag pit stops, that's when I take advantage. I try to jump to the top and really gain momentum, maybe even try to sneak a lap lead in, basically just to try to speed up, or basically try to kind of gain that time I'm losing right now, because again, while these guys are all packed up really close to each other, I mean, if you look right there, you got Robert Rock, who's in 31st in the lead draft here, but almost 4 seconds off the pack. So that's a big deficit to have to try to overcome during the course of a pit stop, because if you maybe just don't nail your entry or exit just right, that could get you out of draft range. So that's why I really like to make a big charge late in the pit stops, or late in the green flag run before the pit stops, I should say, in order to try to have that opportunity. So I'm curious to see, do we see any drivers make that big charge later on in the run? I think we're actually seeing some of those right now. I'm watching the 45 Todd Siebels, 89 of Nick DeGroot. They'd been pretty much in cruise control here, but I think now they're same thing. I think they want to do is, like I'm talking about, now's their time. They're going to try to push forward here. They saved probably a lap or so of fuel, and I think this is their opportunity to try to get that track position before the pit stop cycle starts.
Yeah, there are a few different strategies, I guess, when it comes to pit strategy. Getting in early, obviously, you kind of control your own destiny at that point. Trying to come in a lap or two after that is a little bit more of a risk. I guess it's kind of the conventional wisdom. Are you catching up to the leaders, or the leaders coming back to you? And I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. But the other side of it is, as you risk losing a little bit more momentum, but really I think it comes down to who you pit with. more so than when you pit. If you pit with the guys who are the best drafters, the best pushers, and can make their own momentum, then they're probably going to be better for you. But the other side of that coin is there's going to be a lot of time made up just getting onto pit road. We've seen in weeks past, and we're not going to have him tonight, but Sebastian Miller, one of the best that I've ever seen about just, really charging the pit, getting it down to 55 miles an hour at the line. And just, knowing how to work the system there. But, there's a lot of time to be made up. But right now, I would say this time by, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see a good number of drivers drop down and go ahead and get those green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and you're right about Sebastian. I would say every time he hits pit road, I swear he's going to get a speeding penalty. But every time he's able to get away with it and get that normal 12 or so second pit stop. And, yep, you were spot on, Brandon. They were listening to you or you know what you're talking about, as it's going to be Seth and Patrick Gruber leading into the pits. As you see behind, like you said, they're bringing a big trunk of drivers in here. Looks like from about 15th on back here, big crowd of trucks here hitting pit road. But so far, everybody's pretty well behaved. You see a bit of a hiccup there for a couple of trucks. And yeah, there's a lot of, this is going to slow a few drivers down getting in and out of their pit stalls, as they kind of had to try not to step on each other's toes. But that has done now is that's moved the lead for the moment. I was about to say for Todd Siebels, but you got Derek Gilroy and Keith Horner trying to make a big charge to the outside to see if they can make that happen. But I think they're having to abandon that plan. I think you're seeing them here try to roll back up. They're trying to find a hole to drop in, because I think we're about to see our second pack here all hit pit road. Probably all together, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, no, it looks like 3 packs are going to hit pit road here. And, almost 3-4 wide there for a second. So that's going to leave just 3 trucks to stretch it, just that one extra lap here. And this is not the way you want to make laps happen here when you're going even further. You do not want to be running 3 wide like they are right now. So this is going to cost them probably at least a second, I would say, Brandon. This is where you really want to be nose to tail and just pushing for all you're worth.
Yeah, with racing, a lot of times you're darned if you do, darned if you don't. As we watch the Groovers, shoot for the lead again here, or the lead of their pack. But when you come in with a big pack like that, you've always got to worry about the fact that, hey, there's a lot of cars around you, and that's potential for damage and potential for chaos. But at the same time, at a track like this, you want a lot of cars around you when you leave pit road. That way you get that momentum back and gain that speed. As we see the Groovers coming around the outside here, I think they'll kind of blend back in line. But the surprising thing for me was the 0-2 of Seth Groover. It almost looked like he missed his pit stall and then backed up, and still was able to get enough fuel and maintain his position on track. So as these 2 packs come back together, we'll see them kind of spread out a little bit, but then I think they're going to snap back like a rubber band. And we're going to have some intense racing. It looks like right now we've got a line of cars the length of the entire back straightaway, but here in 3 or 4 laps, that's going to be a big jangled mess again.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the gap right now, and yeah, so pretty much you have 17 cars all bunched together here. Well, actually 14. We got to see where the guys that just pitted are going to come out in relation to one another. There's a pretty good gap between BK Anderson and JD Crow. However, say they're making big time right now, because let's say you got the 5 and the 1, the 7, they're all hooked on together, and we know how fast they are together. But then I want to go back and look at those drivers that just pitted that extra lap here. I see Derek Gilroy. I think he may be the last of those coming out of pit road. As you see Nick DeGroot here. Looks like Todd Siebels, the winner of that bunch, to be able to get out back on track here. And I think should be able to tag onto the back of these guys. So I think here Todd probably going to be in the best spot of those 3 that went the extra lap. But I think they should be able to tag on still with that group behind with JD Crow and company. And I think that's going to be crucial for their race as well here. For actually, it looks like Nick DeGroot should be okay, but I'm looking back. Actually, Derek Gilroy, he did not fare so well here. You can see he's going to drop back to that pack here, led by Robert Rock here. So at the moment here, Brandon, it looks like pretty much 3 separate packs after this first set of pit stops.
Yeah, that second pack, I think they're going to probably catch up to this lead pack. They've got some of the better drafters and pushers in that group. But last week I was surprised by that myself. I ended up in a second pack, and when we came out of pit road, like maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds off the lead pack, and I thought, man, we'll just line up and have no issue whatsoever. But we ended up, half a lap back at one point. So, anything can happen at this point. But with JD Crow and Gabe Butler leading that second pack, I don't think it's going to be long before they line up and catch up to this first pack. The third pack, on the other hand, they've got their work cut out for them, and that's part of the whole strategy of this race. That could be a good thing for them. They could miss an accident. They could miss a little bit of chaos if everything breaks down. But if they don't work together and they don't stay in line, right now it looks like they're single file except for all the way at the very back. If they don't line up, they'll just keep losing a second after a lap, and eventually they'll get swamped up out of the field.
Yeah, and you're exactly right in saying, and that was while you were saying that, JD Crowe was just in that draft window of that group in front, and once you hit that magic number of distance, it just throws you straight to the front. So, yeah, that's put JD back in the mix here. So that's pretty much given us 21 drivers in this main pack right now. Do need to mention Scott Ferguson. He's been able to tag onto the back, so I believe sits currently as the first car one down. So if he can avoid it, that'll put him in that catbird seat for the lucky dog. Unfortunately, a few drivers that have really fallen off the back, including that 24 of Jason Adams. He had some damage before his pit stop, and unfortunately, that truck actually looks a little worse after the pit stop. So I think maybe some contact going in and out of the pits in that DuPont paint scheme on that Chevrolet. So unfortunately for Jason, still in a tough spot. Scott Ferguson maybe in a recovery mode here with that lucky dog position. Like you said, though, and then you got Derek Gilray in the back of these guys, who was the one that also pitted on the latest lap with those other two drivers. But saying, unfortunately, also I see now Eric Laurie in that mix as well. So not what they're looking for here, and saying definitely the lap times aren't what they need it to be. But the problem is they've got about 8 or 9 trucks here roughly, and so you look up front, the leaders, they've got 22 strong. So that makes it just that much harder to compete.
It really does. I mean, it is kind of working in their favor. These guys in the back, it's kind of working in their favor that this lead pack tends to get a little racy every now and again. But interesting strategy. I'm kind of surprised to see what we're seeing here with the Groovers. Usually those guys, they just stay hooked up the entire race, but for whatever reason tonight they're trying a different strategy and running 2 different lines. I guess if you control the front of the field on 2 lines, then you control the rest of the field. But we've got 2/3 of the race left. At this point, we've got a fast repair for a lot of these guys if there is any kind of damage or anything like that. And another round of at least 1 or 2 more rounds of green flag pit stops. So many things can happen, but in my experience, these things don't stay green all the way to the end. These guys are going to start getting antsy, and the more antsy they get, the harder they're going to push, the more 3 wide they're going to go, and the less room they're going to give their other drivers. So, just because right now you're off the pace or you've lost that lead pack, you just keep your head down, keep turning laps, and eventually, if you're in the right place at the right time, you can be in the you can still win this thing.
Oh, actually, you see right there, a little bit of contact. The 01 went a little bit high there and bumped up against the outside wall. It's going to drop him way down the running order, saying, yeah, you can see the right front damage to that truck as well. Not sure if that was possibly a situation where they made a little bit of incidental contact. I'm going to go back and try to take one more look at it here as they came out of turn number 2, I believe it was. Let me speed it up a little bit here to see if I'm on the right turn.
Yeah, as fast as Patrick's truck moved up, it looked almost like a little bit of net code, but the trajectory that he took almost looked like he just wanted to maintain his momentum and didn't want to get into the back of his brother Seth. But interesting development there, watching Patrick get in the outside wall and now have to fall back to the back of that pack. Hopefully that truck's not damaged too bad. He can work his way back up there or bide his time until the next round of pit stops and maybe catch a little bit of that damage. Good work by the pit crew.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for him right now is the fact that he was able to stay in that lead draft. So I think that's job number 1 for him. So he's in the lead draft, so he's not going to drop like a rock there. But yeah, definitely some right front damage. I think he'll still be a really good pusher. However, a little bit concerned about his leading abilities at this point in the race. So that's going to be another thing to keep an eye on. But what this does do, though, is we're talking about them kind of running both lanes, is really opens up opportunities now for these other drivers here, because now you don't have to worry about both Groovers. You only got to worry about the 02 of Seth Gruber right now. So you can see that inside line with TJ Mashaw and Gaetano Papalardo. Now they're kind of surging a little bit more on that inside line.
Yeah, that's kind of the ebb and flow of Talladega or Speedway racing in general. What you'll have is you're going to have somebody that's going to get out there, dominate a certain portion of the race, and then through a little bit of bad luck or a little bit of just happenstance, something will happen, and then you'll start seeing new people, new faces kind of rise to the top, and that's what you're seeing right now. With the Groovers, when they're together, they are hard to beat, and they're some of the best on the track. But when they're separate, they're a little bit more vulnerable. Still great drivers, great racers, but a little chink in the armor there as we watch the 33 lead that lap.
Yeah, this is where if you're the 0-2 of Seth here, you're maybe trying to do a little bit of politicking. If you're like, hey, Michael, yeah, you want to team up with me? We can draft together and see if we can make that outside line roll, and maybe I'll work with you even later in the race if my brother's not around.
Yeah, and Michael Spell is not a bad guy to have on your back bumper, but if you keep leaving him like that, he's probably not going to want to push you that long. So that politicking will only work for so long. But right now, he's got a good grasp on things and knows where he wants that truck to be. And now he's not worried about a draft partner. He can just kind of control his own destiny, I guess. Make up his own decisions about where he's going to place the truck is why we see Michael Spell making a push for the lead himself.
Yeah, I'll say right now, a good run going at the moment for Michael. It's one of those things I don't want to talk about Michael having a good run, because I feel like if there's anybody that's been more jinxed or more cursed with these series, it's been that 88. When he's been in contention, just something happens to throw him out of the running. So hopefully that's not the case here tonight. But yeah, currently in a good position. The interesting part though, is I'm looking at the top 4 positions right now on track. And you got Seth Gruber at plus 23, TJ Mashaw plus 18, Gaetano Papalardo plus 19, and Michael Spell at plus 10. So our front runners right now are none of the guys that started towards the front of the field. Again, I think that first round of green flag racing, where we saw those leaders that started up front get that lap lead and drop straight to the back. It's really kind of shaken up the comers and goers of this race currently.
Yeah, we only had about 18 cars, if I remember correctly, that actually took a qualifying lap. So that left about half the field, starting just as the penny falls, I guess. But what that's done is it's shaken up the entire field. You've got a lot of guys here that evidently they're just running for points. They'd rather be there at the end. They'd rather be in the right place at the right time. And if you can't finish the race, you can't do that. But right now, interesting development, in my opinion at least. The 88 of Michael Spell, that outside line is just kind of falling back, and everybody seems to be dropping down to the inside line again. I wonder if we're going to see a short pit here.
Yeah, this is interesting because, we're only on lap 33. They all pitted at lap 20, 21, 22. But, that's only about 12 laps in. These guys can probably go another 10 or so laps roughly before they have to pit. So yeah, I'm a little interested. This is kind of like the Dale Jr. Pied Piper here, with Seth Gruber being the Dale Jr. candidate, if you will. Except instead of running up against the wall like we've seen before when they do that, this time they're up against that yellow line here. So a little surprised to see this. I'll say that it just might be, again, they know, like, hey, we've broken away to only having 21 leaders in this pack. We got another pit stop here in a little while. Maybe we can kind of just keep it calm here and make another big push to the front here a little later on.
Yeah, at this point in the game, these guys can let me do some quick math. These guys, they can make it on a two-stop strategy. So maybe some of these guys drop off and politic and work together to short pit at this point. What that's going to do is it's going to limit the amount of time that you're on pit road. And if you can get out and separate yourself from the pack a little bit, maybe you can control what the rest of the field does. In my experience, what we typically see, if we see a few of these guys drop off, especially some of the faster guys, I don't think it's going to be long before you see other guys following suit the next lap by.
I'm going to say, or if you're Dean Wilkinson and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to cruise on the inside line with all these guys. This is my opportunity to get some more track position. And he's brought some friends with him. He's got Jay Hilliard right there. He's got, who's at the 101, Randy Miner. I see Nick DeGroot. I see Todd Siebels. So he's got about 5 trucks here. So I'm curious to see if Michael Spell decides, you know what? Yeah, I lost the lead from the outside line earlier. I'm going to jump back up there. But so far it looks like he's staying pretty committed to that inside line. So now it's going to be Dean Wilkinson, though, who's going to try to lead that second group. And like I said, he's got some pretty good helpers with him. I say our season opener winner, Jay Hilliard, right behind him. So definitely not a bad spot to have, bad truck, I should say, to have behind you there.
Yeah, not at all. These guys, you see a lot of these faces that kind of come and go, and the guys that are working their way back up to the front, they're just tired of sitting around, I guess, and want to control their strategy. They're not waiting around. So if they can get back up there and push these other guys on the inside line, make them maybe burn off a little bit of extra fuel, and try to be the ones that right the way this race should run.
Yeah, so it definitely gives you opportunities of, like I said, of kind of putting maybe yourself in a better situation than you were at a little bit earlier. And again, maybe it might be one of those things too where it's like, okay, I pretty much saved all the fuel I can this run. I won't gain another lap, so I'll burn the extra off, if you will, and just try to get that track position, like I said. So the difference I'm going to look from Seth Groover back to Patrick Groover. That kind of fitting. It'd be the Groover brothers. It looks like it's about 2 seconds, actually. Now it looks like Maxwell Caldwell's in that position there. But yeah, so it's about 2 seconds from first to 21st. And again, to me, I think that's where the critical juncture is, because if you're Maxwell, again, you're going to be pitting at about a 2 second deficit to these guys up in front of you. That's why I really like to make a charge here late in the run before that green flag pit stop, because I want to pit as close to the net leader of the race that I can. I really don't want to be pitting either the same lap or even maybe the lap after, or even honestly even the lap before at 2 seconds back, because it just gives you less opportunity to try to recover if something doesn't go exactly right.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think and I think we're going to see how that strategy is going to play out here in about 2 laps, maybe a lap and a half, as we come to lap 39 here this time by. The thing that I'm keeping an eye on right now, I'm watching this extra pack, this second pack that's about 16 seconds behind the lead pack, and talking about how good some of these guys are at maintaining their own momentum, creating their own speed, as we watch the 55 there move up. These guys, these trucks are not easy to drive. They're not easy to create and maintain momentum. But yet we've got a pack of 3 here, and they're running comparable lap times to the leader. Last time by, Jack Wall's there in 22nd position. Only a 10th difference lap time to what the leaders are doing. So I think these guys may actually be sitting in the perfect position. The 83 of Jack Walls, 171 of Robert Rock, Derek Gilray. Those guys are sitting back there in the perfect position, because when things break loose up front, they're 20 seconds back, but they're not falling back. They're not losing time. So I honestly, it'd be stressful for me, but I would really enjoy running the strategy with Jack and Robert and Derek Gilray back there.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you never want to be that far off the lead. But yeah, you're right. You're just thinking like, all right, when there's going to be a big one, we're nowhere near. We're going to be okay. And that's where you kind of got to calm your group down too, where it's like, okay, like Jack might be really relaying it to the guy behind him, like, okay, we still got 36 to go in this race, just across the halfway point. So a lot of racing left to go, and we know those top 20 are going to start to get racy once it really comes crunch time. So let's just kind of keep our heads on, and then let's just kind of let them bring the race to us.
Yeah, I think you'll see guys, at least a handful of guys, drop off this time by, if not next. And when these guys drop off, you saw it in the last round of pit stops. It creates chaos. There's cars that made contact the last time anyway, as we watched the 0-2 of Groover drop off, and a small group of cars coming down. But it creates chaos. It creates room. Oh, as the 37 almost makes contact there.
Oh yeah, he did. I was watching that
thing.
I watched that pit cone too. He just kissed it with the right rear, so this may be a long pit stop, unfortunately, for Keith Horner. We'll keep an eye on that. The other driver you saw pop in there late was the the 01 of Seth Groover, Patrick Groover. I'm going to get these guys right eventually. I'm watching right there. You can see the 02 definitely kind of stalled out a little bit just to make sure his brother tags on there. And the 01 opting to save that fast repair. And actually, they got the 010 there. Looks like lost it in the pit road. But yeah, Keith Horner's still on pit road. This is going to be a 40-second stop and hold for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, just bad luck. But that goes back to the point I was making there. When you get into green flag pit stops, you've fallen into a rhythm. You've fallen into the just the flow of the race and turning laps at a certain point, and then all of a sudden you have to do something completely different. So you've got to jump down, and usually with a pack of 10 or 15 or sometimes 20 cars, you've got to jump down to the inside line. You've got to slam on the brakes, get everything lined up, and hope that everybody else
got trouble in front. So far, no yellow, but Gabe Butler was around. Big hits for Gabe Butler. The 14 was around as well, and the 5 truck. So some of the big names here, all involved in this wreck, but spun off track. So iRacing does not throw yellow. Not sure if iRacing or if the admins may consider throwing one themselves for it. I'm gonna go back. We're gonna try to look at. Obviously, we still have some pit stop strategy about to occur. And it looks like actually it may have just been Gabe. Oh yeah, Gabe just got into the left rear, unfortunately, of that 5 truck of JD Crow, and then unfortunately Vicente just in the wrong spot, at the wrong time. In the momentum loss, that's what then got the 1 truck hooked on the 7 truck of Dale Willoughby and caught him around as well. So we said, well, follow Gabe here because unfortunately he took a massive shunt to the inside wall. Actually, both the 5 and the 1 did, almost kind of doing synchronized spinning there after they hit those walls. So we'll jump back live here, though. As you can see, they're both hitting pit road here together. But definitely going to cost them a lot of time. And really, like we talked about, though, Brandon, really going to mix up this field here. Especially with the fact that yellow did not come out there.
Yeah, an interesting development for sure. Some of these guys are guys that you just expect to be there at the end. They're guys that you expect to be competing for the win, and making an extra green flag pit stop to take that fast repair is going to possibly take them out of contention. So they're going to need a lot of good luck and a lot of just well-timed, misfortune for other people to work their way back into this. Because once you fall a lap down without a caution, you're just not going to make that back up.
Yeah, when you talked about bad luck, it's going to be right now that 45 of Todd Siebels went an extra lap. Probably was hoping he was going to have somebody go out there with him, but now he is stuck to run a solid lap here completely on his own, unfortunately. So this is going to be a heartbreaker here for Todd to lose so much track time. He can obviously go full aggressive on the pit entry, pit exit, but really going to hurt him, unfortunately. This might even be an opportunity here where maybe you take a little gamble, put a little bit less fuel in that truck to shorten the pit stop, just to offset what you're losing right now on track. So I'll definitely watch his pit times. Pretty much everybody's been around the 11-12 second mark on fuel and tires. But we'll see him hit his pit stall now. We're gonna watch off the back of that 124. Of Gaetano Papalardo, who's going to come out right with TJ Machado. Again, I believe those two are teammates, and they're working extremely well together here so far in this race. As, again, everybody's still got one more pit stop to go, though, Brandon.
Yeah, still a lot of action here, a lot of race left to unfold as we see, the lead cars catch up to the lap car, hopefully not, but soon to be lap car of the third. Excuse me, can't talk about 37 of Keith Horner. This pack's gonna come back together. We're starting to see some faces come to the front that you expect to see but haven't seen, like the 6 of Bud Steele. But these guys, down on the bottom line, the 124 and the 33, have been working great tonight and really seem to have partnered up to make things happen as Keith Horner makes a late move to the top side.
Yeah, you saw those guys as we're watching off the back. The 45, he's going to do everything he can to try to tag onto the back of these guys, but just isn't going to have enough momentum. His best opportunity here is he's either going to have to quickly drop back to the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald, or see if he can convince somebody to drop back and try to pick him up and see if he can get that toe, because right now he's sitting at about 1.4 seconds off. And he's just too far off the back of these guys right now for him to catch back up. So, unfortunately, he was so close. But I think, honestly, what would have made the difference is I think if he had indeed shortened his pit stop a little bit, that probably would have done it. And he did have a great pit lane time, though. I'm looking at his numbers. There's a 38:03 overall pit lane time, whereas most everybody else is in the 39:40 seconds. So he had a great pit entry and exit. Oh, actually, no, look at that the 37 truck backing up to him here. This is probably his best opportunity here to try to get back to that pack. So really, really good gesture there by Keith Horner to try to help keep Todd Siebels in this mix.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised Todd ended up as close as he did. Super difficult to maintain any kind of momentum on the track by yourself, and at times, with the right lap and the right pack in front of you, that could be a 2-second difference, per lap in speed. But it looks like the 45 and the 37 are going to work together to bring the 45 back into the fold. That's an extremely fortunate, chain of events that brought the 45 of Todd Siebels back into this pack. I did not think that was going to happen, but hey, you know what? These guys are better than I am.
No, that's big shout out there to that 37 of Keith Horner. That's a really, really nice gesture for him. And let's say the next thing we got to look at again is going to be the drivers on the lead lap down. But I'm going to wait a second because up front we were 4 wide, now back to 3 wide. But that got very tight there for just a moment here. As I say, right now it's been, again, the 124 to 33 trying to work together. But like you said, it's brought Bud Steele back into the mix. And I say now he's got a teammate with him of Michael Spell. So I know Michael's going to feel a little more comfortable with the two of them. Then that third lane starting to form on the outside with that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. But yeah, the question mark I think is going to be is that Lucky Dog battle, because I'm trying to see who it's going to be at the moment. But I'm going to hold on one more second because here comes the 09. They're going to be putting up on right through 1 and 2. But they're already 3 wide. This is going to get very tight here.
Yeah, at this point, you play different strategies, I guess, during the course of the race. Me personally, early on in the race, I'm trying to find the most consistent. I'm trying to find, the guys that they're not worried about gaining a lot of positions. They're just trying to get past halfway and trying to, make their truck, make the end of this race, get through their green flag pit stops, things like that. At this point in the race, though, people are going to start changing that strategy. We're past halfway. We've got 1 green flag pit stop left if this thing does stay green. Right now, it's starting to ratchet up a few notches, so I'm not sure that it's going to. But, the strategies are changing. You're starting to see new faces come to the front, and you're starting to see new alliances come together. And that 37 and 45, I'm watching them come through the pack. They're not waiting around. They're trying to get back up to the front.
And I mean, this is actually a big, this is a critical juncture as well for that 37, because that Ford truck we just saw to the left there, that was the truck in the Lucky Dog position there of Scott Ferguson. So with that move at the moment by Keith Horner, that now puts him in that Lucky Dog spot if a yellow comes out, and of course the bigger if they're not involved in that yellow. So it's a big move there for him to be able to put himself in that potential opening here to get him up there. So but like I said, there's a lot of movement right now with these trucks here in these top 3 lines right now. You can just see the side to side. Yeah, oh man, a lot of wiggle there from Michael Spell as well. Like I said, these guys, hopefully they realize there's still 26 laps to go on this one. Like I said, there's still 1 more pit stop as well. So no need to go full aggressive as of yet.
Kyle, I don't think they're listening to us.
I don't think they are.
I don't think these guys understand. It's definitely ratcheting up. People are losing their patience. And you know what? Getting, as we see the 88 move around a little bit more there, at a certain point after running 50 laps and just trying to bide your time, it's tough to stay patient. So at this point, a lot of people are going to just kind of lose their cool and lose their head a little bit. And they want to go out there and race, and they want to, get out there and not worry about what other people are doing, because they're going to do it themselves. But this is the time of race where things kind of start to break down sometimes, and we start to see a few more accidents, which is great for the guys who aren't in this lead pack, but an easy time right now to cause some chaos and get some of these cars in a position that they may not finish the race.
Yeah, so I'm afraid to do so, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk to those cars we were just talking about. We're going to drop back to pick up those trucks. So right now it's Robert Rock leading that second group. And they are quicker than that lead pack, though. It's about a half a tenth or so quicker that last time by than that lead pack here. But let's say you can see they've got about 7 trucks, if I'm not mistaken, here from Robert Rock down to Jay Hilliard there. And then a couple lap trucks tagged on there as well. Then we got to go a little more. Again, those trucks that were involved in that incident here. You got Gabe Butler, JD Crow, James Hickson. We got 3 of them working together as well, just trying to make the best lap times they can with just the 3 of them. Then unfortunately we have a handful of trucks here that are the same thing, kind of just off on their own right now. One of those being Nick DeGroot, who's been able to pick up that 14 though, of Vicente Guerrero. But yeah, right now trucks pretty much spread out all around the course of this track here. We're going to jump back up front here because they're actually not too far away from catching that 89 of Nick DeGroot. And then that's just going to add one more wrinkle into that whole drama of that Lucky Dog position.
Yeah, I've been watching lap times for the past like 3 or 4 laps. And the interesting thing that I'm noticing here is that the last 4 laps in a row, the fastest car on track has been outside of the top 15. Last time by, we had Derek Gilray leading, or excuse me, with the fast time. The other interesting thing, though, is because this lead pack is 3 wide up here, the fastest laps, or the average lap, I guess, has dropped by about a second to a second and a half per lap. So right now, this 3 wide racing is going to start bringing, giving these other guys, and they've got a little ways to go. Robert Rock, 19 seconds to catch up to that front pack, but it's going to definitely keep them in the mix and make sure that they don't have to worry about being caught up in anything right now. But at the same time, they can be scot-free if anything does break loose.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They have the reaction time by a lot to be able to do anything if something happens up front. But the other thing that's coming up is we're not too far away from being in that pit window where they can make it to the end. But then, like I said, I think we're going to see drivers probably wait till about 20 to go. Just to give that little bit of margin for that potential green-white checkered. But the way this race is split up right now, this is probably, I think, one of the best opportunities these drivers have had all season long to try to go off sequence and maybe try to do that early pit stall, because, like I said, the lap times aren't very strong from this group up front just because of the 3 wide racing that they've got going on. So if you're in this group, and I know it's going to sound biased, but I mean, again, I go back to the Gruber brothers. I think even with the 2 of them, if they can pick up a 3rd or a 4th, they could do some serious damage if they go ahead and pit a little early and then just draft like there's no tomorrow, and then just be able to kind of build that gap over the course of the run between when you pit and when these leaders make their final pit stop.
Yeah, you've got about about 10 or 12 cars up front right now that I don't think they care anything about pit strategy right now. But it does look like maybe you do have, as we watch the 6 of Bud Steele drop down to the bottom line and leave the 88 hanging there, it does look like we've got a couple guys that may have been aggressive early on that are maybe playing into that strategy card. We've got the Gruber brothers there, just kind of biding their time at this point. It's kind of outside of the norm. I don't know what to make of their strategy tonight, because they're going off sequence with themselves a little bit. But at this point, it's the perfect time. We're 20 to go. Man, not only that, but you get to shorten your time on pit road because you're taking less fuel. There's just so many options right now, so many ways this thing can still break down, and that's if it goes green for the next 20 laps.
Yeah, it's definitely the big if, and the other part of that too, of course, is if you can get that pit stop in before everybody else comes in, and if there's that yellow, you're going to cycle right around all of those other drivers when they have to make their final green flag pit stop under caution. So, it could definitely get pretty interesting here. And again, the driver we have to talk about that went the longest of anybody, maybe just by a lap, but the 45, Todd Siebels, he's in this mix here, so he could have to take just a little bit less fuel, shorten the pit stop just that little teeny bit more. Maybe that's enough to propel him towards the front of this pack after this last cycle as well.
Yeah, not only that, but watching this pack and watching the lap times and the positions of the people in it. A few laps ago, and this is the great thing about plate racing. A few laps ago, Keith Horner was the car that was the first car 1 lap down. Now he's 3rd. So that just goes to show you that we've got some lap down cars in this lead pack, as it looks like maybe we've got a couple guys dropping off.
Yep, and I was saying if there's going to be gamblers, it's going to be the Grubers, and here they come in together. I'm going to watch the 01 here, Brandon, because I think this is going to be a telltale as well. Does Patrick opt to use this fast repair here, or does he save it for a potential wreck? Nope, there it goes. Mario is back to full health here. He's got his mushroom, and now it's going to be up to these two to say they're going to work together. They decide not to try to pick up a 3rd or 4th, but we've seen how strong they are together. So this is going to be, I think, we'll see, do anybody react to these two pitting here at 19 to go.
Yeah, we got to be careful with the phrasing there. But, I think at this point, that's a total strategy gamble. These guys, they're trying to get out ahead. And they know that they're great pushers. They know that they can kind of mate and create their own momentum, as we see a few other drivers drop off this time by. The gamble there is we've still got 20 laps to go, or 18 at this point. There's a lot that can happen, and it's so easy to get caught up in someone else's mess, especially when you're 3 wide lap after lap. And here over the next few laps, after all these pit cycles cycle through, it's only going to ratchet up and get more intense as it gets closer to the finish.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so those three that pitted there were the 17, the 07, and the 76. So Jimmy Reynolds, Robert DuPont, and Rick Seabrands. And yeah, like I said, we're 18 to go here. So again, window-wise, these guys can go a little further if they want to. It's just, again, do you want to pit under green or under yellow? Because again, the 01, the 02, yeah, while they're kind of off on their own here, they are good to go to the end, so there's no drama there. But here comes a big pack of trucks here coming in. It's going to be the 124, the 33, the 6, the 88, and the 101, and the 55, as they're all going to hit pit road here for their final scheduled stop.
Yeah, the major question for me is it faster to maintain where you're at on the track and stay in this draft, or is it going to be faster to kind of break this draft up, get people a little bit more single file? You know, the pace of the race is down a little bit right now, so these guys that have pitted a little bit early may be making the right call there. But on the flip side of that, you know, these guys that are out there still on the track, they can go to probably lap 63, 62, 63. So they've got another 4 or 5, 6 laps that they can make it out there. And if something happens behind them, they've really created a great situation for themselves. So as we see a few more cars drop off, so many different strategy plays. That super speedway racing is chess at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, that it is. And yeah, as Maxwell Caldwell, Dale Willoughby, they peel off together. So right now, say the only two drivers that have yet to pit in this lead pack are the 32 of BK Anderson, who now takes the point, and the 45 of Todd Siebels. However, importantly, also in front of that pack, those the 37 of Keith Horner. So right now, not a lap down, but the tail end of the lead lap. So that could be also a big one for him. And then looking at the pit stop cycles, it looks like the winners currently might be that 33 and the 124, because right now they have about a 1.5-second margin. We'll check on them here momentarily. But right now, so we're going to keep an eye on these three here to see when they hit their final stops, as it's going to be BK Anderson. He's going to hit pit road, but Todd Siebels, again, Mr. Fuel Mileage there, he's going to keep going another lap.
Yeah, and we've already got, this pack is formed up here, these guys that pitted, and it looks like really the majority of the group that pitted through the pit cycle earlier in the run have kind of just made their way back together. So, there's a few more laps for chaos to happen, but it looks like things will probably shake themselves out and everybody will be back together in no time.
Yeah, it was a short-term happy time there for the 124 and the 33, but here comes a lot of friends, if you will, to join the party, as Bud Steele's going to take that momentum straight to the top there. He's going to swing by about 124, and then right now, let's see, hold in the middle here. Nope, he's going to go straight to the bottom there.
Yeah, we've got a couple guys here up front too that may be playing that point strategy like a lot of guys were early on. Robert Rock leading the pack here, and may get that extra bonus point. Jack Wall's right there behind him doing the same thing. So, it looks like they're going to stay. Well, no, it looks like a bunch of this pack is going to drop down. And unfortunately, that's going to leave Jack Walls out there almost entirely by himself. So, bad break there. And, I'm sure he would have loved to have been with that group of guys going in. But, we'll see how he can maintain. Todd Siebels was able to do it earlier. We'll see if Jack can play his hand right and do the same thing.
Yeah, a little surprised to see Todd Siebels continue to stay out. Again, wins the first of anybody, but just is going to just keep running. But the problem, though, lap times. Right now, he ran almost 53-second lap that last time around, while the group behind him are in the mid to high 51 seconds. So lost probably about a second and a half by staying out as long as he's been going. So might be banking on the yellow, but it definitely is a risky call for him so far. But we're going to jump back to the front here because we got a really good battle. So it's hard not to watch this battle as the 5 truck almost gets a little bit of door contact there. Maxwell Caldwell's up there for just a moment. Now he drops back a little bit as it continues to go back to TJ Mashaw and Gaetano Papalardo.
Yeah, I'm confused on what to watch. I wish I had 10 screens right now because there's so much going on. I watched Todd Siebels out there. He's got probably a 40-second lead, and just hoping and praying for an accident. But this group of guys here, what is that? 4th, 5th, on back. They're not waiting around. They're just going out there and racing as these laps wind down. We're almost coming up on 12 to go, 13 to go. we're getting ready to be 3 wide racing again, and they're not worried about what's happening with anybody else. They want to make it happen for themselves.
Yeah, and there was a pretty big jockey there a little earlier, a few laps ago, where some drivers had just exited the pits. They got out onto the track, but the momentum difference is so high. There's a couple of trucks that opted to go below the yellow line just to get around them. I think they'll wind up getting away with that, but it was definitely a kind of a touch and go moment there for a little bit. So what they do have right now is, again, we got some teammates kind of working together. That inside line, 33-124. The 124 got the big win last week, maybe trying to push his teammate to see if he can get his win this week. But then you got, I wouldn't say teammates with Bud Steele and Dean Wilkinson. However, those two work very well together. However, here come the Groovers on that third lane. They're going to try to, they're going to put their hat in the ring here if they get the opportunity to, and they're already there as we go 3x3 once more.
We've seen some great pushers, and we've seen some great draft partners all season and even last season. But, just week in and week out, the two guys that you just know are probably going to be the two best draft partners are always going to be those Groover brothers. I know they're brothers, but, man, it's almost like they're in each other's head the entire time, doing things exactly the same way. No one else can do two cars better than they can. And right now it looks like they can do two cars better than a lot of guys can do 5 or 6.
Yeah, and I think it was while you were in the race, but it was actually funny. I was mentioning similar because not just brothers, but actually twins as well. But their mom, every so often, Karen pops in and chats with us as well to kind of keep us up to date with what's going on for them. And yeah, she said pretty much from an early age, those two were basically, they would, one of those things like they would know what each other was thinking, kind of complete each other's sentences, things like that. So I'd say that bond they have. Of course, they share Discord, they can talk to each other too, but it's only so much to do that to be able to then put it into action behind the wheel as well. It's just really cool to see what these guys are able to do. And at plate racing, that's the place to do it if you're going to do it anywhere.
It really is, and it's not like one of them seems to be any better than the other. It doesn't matter if it's Seth. As we make a really close call there, 33 moving down. If Seth was out front, they're just as fast. If Patrick's out front, they're just as fast. It doesn't seem to matter. When you get Mario and Luigi together, they're coming to the front regardless of which order they're in.
Well, I got to correct you there, Brandon. It's Mario and Yoshi. Come on now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I say you got the red and the green. I would have done the same thing. But yeah, so that's the other fun thing too, is they always have such fun original paint schemes where it works with them being brothers or teammates or whatever. It's just a little different, but still similar enough to know that they're working together here.
Yeah, I may have to have a conversation with Patrick and see about getting Seth moved over to the Luigi car. But you know what? You take the sponsors you can get, right? Yeah,
if you're lucky, maybe they'll have Princess Peach available for you too.
Oh yeah, you don't want to share that, but when you're born in the '80s like I am, Luigi's who you think of before Yoshi. But at this point, I can't take my eyes off of these 3 wide racing either way. So it doesn't. At this point in the game, you got to think if you're any of these other cars and you need a draft partner, that red and that green car might be the one to go with.
Yeah, I think Maxwell saw that too. He's like, I've been working with people, the guys I've been working with, it hasn't gone so well. Let me try some new partners here, because Maxwell, he's never one that's just going to sit around and ride. He wants to have a chance to win these races, and you got to go where your best opportunities are. And right now, these two are going to be his best opportunity. One thing I do have to mention is I say with everything that was going on, trying to keep up with who was where. Jack Walls, Todd Siebels, they had made their final pit stops. However, something with Todd Siebels' pit stop did not go to plan. He had a pit penalty here, so unfortunately he's going to drop way down the running order. Currently about 27th, it looks like, is where he's going to drop down to. So unfortunately, a really, really promising night's gone backwards here in a big way for him.
Yeah, I think as long as he stayed out and ran, in such a small group of cars, I think at that point he was just hoping for a little bit of luck, good luck on his part, and misfortune for someone else. But you hate to see that. He's run a great race and has had some good breaks, but made some really great calls. But coming back up to the front, I'm watching the 94 here. He knows to follow the right guys, and could have gotten himself a win last week if not for a little bit of last lap misfortune, which I was able to take advantage of. Got me a top 10, which I wouldn't have had otherwise. These guys, it seems like they're getting closer and closer. Those 9 cars, 3x3x3, are all right there together, and I don't think that that there's any way of picking out who's going to come out on top on this.
No, and that's exactly what I said. The last lap chaos is if we can get to that white flag again. I mean, as always, all bets will be off there. And right now we have 11 trucks in the running here. So I say, look at that ticker on the left there. Say the one that you don't see right off the bat is that 76 of Rick Seabrand's. But those are those 10 plus the one there on the left side ticker. That's who's going to be going for the win right now. And like I said, it's just at this point, it's kind of which line's the line you want to be in. We have a few trucks there, maybe a lap down that might play a role, maybe give a push to the right place at the right time. However, when Rick Seabrands, when he moved to that top side, that really propelled that outside line. You can see the 01 was able to just get a nose ahead, but right now going to stay committed to his brother here.
Yeah, Rick, that great looking truck there. That pushed that extra momentum on the outside as we're coming up on lap traffic. I'll be interested to see these 3 wide and as tight as they are. Well, good thing there. The lap traffic dropped down to the apron, but as tight as they are, all it takes is just one wrong move, and you've got 15 cars that could potentially be out of the race. So, if it does go green all the way to the end, that'll be a first for me. I don't think I've seen that in quite a while, but at this point, it's anybody's race, and oh goodness, I don't think I could pick anybody if I had to.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to choose. It says we got 5 to go here, so I'll say for those that are about 12th on back, they're saying, you know what? Yeah, you guys go ahead. You can bring out a yellow. That's all right. We won't be offended if you do, because we'd love to have a late chance at this one ourselves. But I'm watching Maxwell here in the 94, that black and red A-Shock truck. He's just trying to find where he needs to go. First, he was that 3rd truck line on the outside. He dropped down for a little bit to the middle groove. That didn't do anything, so now he's back up top again. But now he's actually stuck behind another truck with that 76 of Rick Seabrand. So unfortunately, he just hasn't found the lane where he wants to be, and that's going to be the winning move for him. So he's just going to have to keep trying to find something that he wants to do. Now, what I'm watching too, I'm loving what I'm seeing is Randy Miner. He's right there in the mix. He's in the thick of this thing for the lucky dog spot. But look at the little buffer margin he's giving himself just in case something happens in front of him. Because the 37 of Keith Horner is also a driver that's right now 1 lap down. So he's thinking, I think he's definitely thinking big picture here. He's like, man, if these guys wreck, I got to make sure I get around this, because I could then get my lap back and maybe jump a lot of trucks here.
Yeah, that could be the move of the race. Just missing the action or missing the wreck could be the move that gets him back on the lead lap and then puts him right back into winning contention. But as we come into NASCAR or turn 3, like I said, once again, too many road races for me. As we come into turn 3, coming to 3 to go, it's still anybody's race. But making yourself available to be there at the end is the best thing you can do right there. So running the 2nd car 1 lap down, but putting yourself in a safe spot might be the one that wins later. Who knows?
Yeah, it's very possible. So right now we got 3 to go here though, and right now, I mean, it looks like pretty much everybody's kind of got the partners that they've got here. I don't think we're going to see too much moving around here. Maybe a little more aggressive side drafting, because again, the 33, 124, I don't see them moving. These are teammates on that inside row. Say it was Gaetano that got the win last week. If he could get TJ a win, that would be huge for those guys to get 2 in a row for the team. Bud Steele, Dean Wilkinson, not official teammates, but definitely they've been part of. Oh, as I said, a caution down. It's not up front here. It is towards the back of the field. Derek Guillory involved there in the 46, and I think that may be the 05 or the 95. Trying to catch a car number there. Actually, the 09, I'm sorry, William George. So we were worried about the cautions at the front. It's going to be a caution towards the back of the field here. And that's going to frustrate some of those guys that were in the front of the pack there. So let's go back, try to find what happened here to bring out this yellow. Actually, I see one down on the apron doing a little bit of drifting there. See if that's related to it or not. Oh yeah, I think the 09 got spooked by that slide by, I think it was Michael Spell, and then unfortunately just overcorrects it. Oh man, nothing Derek Guillory can do, just sends him straight into the wall. And then also the 89 there of Nick DeGroot, and I think Vicente may have got a little piece of that as well. But yeah, unfortunately, just a pit exit there. I think actually no, I don't think it was a pit exit, because he was down on the apron. He had not pitted. Let's go back one more time I am missing something here. I think. Oh, it's a push gone wrong, actually.
Well, and to make matters worse, Derek looks like he spun, got into the wall again as he was trying to get it back to pit road. So just salt in the wound for Derek Gilray. Oh, and took out Jack Wall in the process of that.
Yeah, actually, it was a bump draft gone wrong, and so that's actually what sent him down on the apron. So that was where everything kicked off. So apologies, Michael. It definitely nothing to do with the with anything there. It's just at that point, then yeah, just unfortunately, just a little bit of a reaction, and then just kind of try to counter it, and just didn't go to plan there. So. Yeah, Derek Gilray definitely getting a big piece of that one there, and like I said, unfortunately, sounds like went from bad to worse here. So, what this does do, though, Brandon, we were just talking about maybe see so we got some great teamwork. That 24 man, he's been helping people. So he's going to help a little bit more, try to help push that 09 to pit road to get his service done. But it does do, again, it's going to bring a lot of trucks back into the mix. There goes that 37. We just talked about that battle for the Lucky Dog. Unfortunately for the 101 wasn't what he was hoping for. Didn't get the wreck where he needed it to be. So that's going to put the 37, though, back onto the lead lap. I think that's fair, though. I mean, he did a really good job of helping out Todd Siebels to give him an opportunity for the race as well earlier on. So it's good to see him back on the lead lap, which is going to give us, it looks like, about 19 trucks, if I'm not mistaken, back on the lead lap of this race here. And this is going to be attempt number 1, though, Brandon. Now the question is, those drivers that pitted very early, although I'm looking at the fuel stops, and pretty much everybody up front had pitted around about 8-9 second pit stops, so that tells me it's pretty much a can of fuel, never got the second can in. This could get dicey here on the fuel mileage if we don't get it done in attempt number 1 here.
Yeah, I am seeing a lot of cars riding on the apron under caution here. This accident shook up the field in a different way. Usually what we see as an accident will take a lot of cars with it just in one fell swoop. But in an odd turn of events, as a couple of the cars just trying to get back to pit road would have some mechanical issues that cause that to collect other guys. So I'm seeing a lot of guys on pit road right now, or not pit road, excuse me, down on the apron, just trying to make sure that they can keep as much fuel in that tank as possible. But you're right. I think we're going to have some guys that may have tried to shorten their time on pit road, and may have had a little bit of an issue here with trying to make it to the finish if we get too many green, white checkers.
And that's going to be the thing now, too, is to see where do these drivers all line up with one another. So the front 2 rows, I'm already looking, they're going to be pretty happy, I think, with where they're at. You got TJ Mashaw, he'll go inside. He'll have Gaetano, his teammate, right behind him. But Steele's going to still have Dean Wilkinson with him. And then row number 3, it looks like it's going to be the 01 of Patrick Groover. And then he's going to have BK Anderson next to him. But then Seth Groover will be right behind him. However, they'll be trapped on that inside line. So they're going to need to try to find a way to get to that top. And then Maxwell Caldwell is going to be on the outside of row number 4. Next to Seth Groover. And that's going to give him, I believe, BK Anderson that he can maybe try to team up with. So, but then we got to go look further back here. Some of those drivers that just seem like nothing went right for them. Now they're back in the thick of it here. Namely Gabe Butler, JD Crow, Dale Willoughby. Now this is their opportunity that they were looking for to just have a chance to see what they can do here.
Yeah, this caution brought a lot of people back into the mix. We really had a 10 or 11 car race there, and that caution has brought it back to a 18, 19 car race. So. Not including the lap cars that are going to have a little bit of a say in this. They're gonna control a little bit of the momentum and a little bit of the energy in some of these lines. So, anybody's race still, and if anything, it's even more undecided at this point. So, I would say, Kyle, I'm not sure. I'm curious who your picks are, but at this point, I have a hard time voting against the Groovers.
I'm actually feeling like I think teammates are going to go back-to-back here. I'm feeling pretty good about TJ and Gaetano because, again, the selflessness of them, you saw that whole run. I think those two are going to stay locked together. And I'm saying also that 33, he is the control car. I don't think he'll go early, but they'll be able to get hooked up very quickly, very efficiently together. And I don't think the Groover brothers, if they stay pinched on the inside, they're just not going to have anywhere to go. So. But you're right, though. Obviously you always got to point at them if they have a chance at it. And then the 6 and the 55, they've been so committed together as well. So Yeah, it's it's gonna be wild. We know we're gonna see three wide. I'm almost wondering now, are we gonna see that fourth lane try to form as well?
Yeah, and I'll throw another curveball into the mix here. We've got Maxwell back there, sitting in what, eighth, ninth position. Easily could work his way up to the front with just the right guy on his bumper. But it looks like we may see the end of this thing here in the next two laps. We may not. We may see a little bit more action between now and the end of this race.
Yeah, exactly right. So we're going to start green-white checker number 1 here as they come through the travel. A little early start there. Again, teammates, I think, trying to get established here, get hooked up nicely, and they get a good kick off there. So now the question is that too much of a jump? Because that's the risk here, is when you split up the field too much, they get that big runs on you here coming through the turn. So right now they have what they need, but will it be enough? As you see, actually, Dean Wilkinson, he drops his drafting partner then 6. Now he's going to try to lead that outside pack, and he is going to pick up the 0-1. But look, that separates the 0-2. That separates the Gruber brothers here. That could be a great move by Dean Wilkinson.
I don't even know what to say. You were doing such a great job, and the action's so intense right now. We're seeing contact. We're seeing cars moving all over the place. The Groovers getting split up was kind of a game changer for me. But as we see Dean Wilkinson out there leading this race, I think for the first time tonight. But Bud Steele on the outside trying to make a race, and if we make it about another 100 yards before without a yellow, then that's going to be next flag wins the race, and we've made it there. So
yep.
Hopefully these guys can make it back around, but it's still anybody's race. We've got these top 8 all 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, and anything can happen right now.
Yes, I think that, like you said, I think the biggest move there was the fact that Dean was able to split up the Groover brothers by intent or not. But right now, like I said, it's pretty much right between him and Dean Wilkinson at the moment. But that third lane is going to form at some point, probably out of turn number 4. But look at the momentum coming from the back. Rick Seabrands, he's got a big head of steam here. Just needs some help to be able to maybe shove him forward. He's going to drop to the inside line, but we're going to see someone jump to the top. I'm watching Maxwell. I think he's going to be the one to make that move happen here. But right now, they stay 2 by 2, locked on each other's doors. It looks like it's going to be between Dean Wilkinson and Bud Steele here as they come through the tri-oval.
And contact.
Oh, I can't tell who won it.
Who was it?
On my thing, it says we got one up and over there at the start-finish line. I'm showing maybe Dean Wilkinson, but I'm also showing Bud Steele at 0.00. So I'm going to have to go back to our official timing and scoring once everybody crosses the line here. It could be Dean, it could be Bud. I'm honestly not positive who has it there, but man, what a finish between the two of them. And I think I do have the results, our final results have shown up here on my side. So let's go ahead and pull those up while we watch these two trucks, because they're both just kind of cruising as if it could have been them. So let's go look at our final results, because honestly, Brandon, we don't know who won this race. So I'm going to pull this up for you all to see. And it's going to be Dean Wilkinson by 2 thousandths of a second over Bud Steele, getting the win here tonight. We'll go back. We'll go look at that one more time. Third place is going to go to Patrick Gruber, who I believe was the pusher for Dean Wilkinson. Then you got BK Anderson for TJ Mashaw, going to round out our top 10. As I say, we'll just run through the running order here. Maxwell in 6th. Then you got Gaetano, Seth, Rick, Dale in 10th. You got JD Crow, Michael Spell, Jimmy Reynolds, Gabe Butler, Robert DuPont, Eric Lurie, Jay Hilliard, and Robert Rock. So while we go through the final results here, we'll continue to watch that 55 celebrate on the start-finish line. We got Keith Horner, Randy Miner, Todd Siebels, Scott Ferguson, James Hickson, Jason Adams, Vicente Guerrero, William George, Jack Walls, and Bob Fitzgerald. But we still got more people to go here. Nick DeGroot, Derek Gilray, Dustin Lamb, TJ Allen, and Chummy Miller in 33rd.
A guy going back and looking at that accident, it looks like, and Maxwell Caldwell, heartbroken again, but it looks like a little bit of net code there. 2 weeks in a row has really ruined the end of his race. And when it looked like he moved up a little bit, Seth maybe moved down to try to fill that hole, but they never really seemed to make contact. It looked like just net code there. So unfortunate, but what it also did is it stalled out the momentum there at the wrong time for that second line. I think that finish could have been even closer if that contact hadn't happened just before the start-finish line.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. So we're going to try to see if I can catch. I couldn't quite catch it at the start-finish line, but say we can pull it a little closer. And man, you can't get much closer, but I think you see the difference right there. Look at the 0-1 still attached to the 55. whereas there's a little bit of separation between the 32 and the 6. But just ridiculous race there, amazing finish at the end for all those drivers there. And then unfortunately, after they cross the line, and then just unfortunate calamity behind there. You see all these trucks getting caught up in the 01, the 124, or sorry, the 02, the 124, the 7, the 5. And then here comes the whole field. Unfortunately, Gaetano takes another hit. The 17 gets the 02. He goes up and over there. So if some of these drivers, and that's the thing, we didn't even talk about this, Brandon, bonus points. If these drivers had clean races up until that point, some of these drivers are going to actually get incident points from those wrecks right there. So that could cost some of these drivers also that 5 bonus points for a clean race as well, which is a tough pill to swallow there at the end of a race like that.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't thought of that. My actually initial thought was, at that point you're keep your foot in it, go for it, clear the hole. But you're right. A lot of these guys would have had incident-free races, and that last accident could have really changed the points complexion.
Yeah, that it could have. I'll say that'll be something we'll have to look into next week. But while we have it here, let's go ahead and start pulling in our drivers here. And we're going to kick things off with our third place finisher there in the 01 of Patrick Groover. And man, Patrick, so obviously, it was great. You see you and your brother lined up nose to tail there. But then you see you guys are the odd numbers. You're going to be on the inside line. Any thoughts on that final restart? What the plan was going to be to try to either work with each other to find a way to get to the front, or because it looked like you guys were hooked up, but then unfortunately there was just one move that Dean Wilkinson was able to make, kind of just separated you guys, and it seemed like from that point pretty much all bets were off for the two of you trying to be able to hook up and get maybe a 1-2 or at least a win between the two of you.
Yeah, you can't really. It's hard to get 2 trucks together all the time. It just didn't work out at the end there. For Seth, but Dean had a good. I was pushing Dean. He had a good run there, and you got to take the runs when you can get them, and that was it. And that's all she wrote.
Yeah, I was saying the other thing, of course, that restart leaders going just a little bit early there. Was that maybe something you thought you might expect to see, or did you kind of figure they would try to wait a little longer, keep you guys kind of bunched up as much as possible there? Because that really did spread out the field a little bit. That opened up some of those opportunities for Dean and for yourself to get that run as well. So, take us through the mindset once you saw them go that little bit early. Did that kind of change any strategy from your guys' point?
Yeah, I was trying to time it so I could go with them, but that's hard to do. Looked like I don't know who it was on the bottom. Looked like they might have been teammates because they timed it pretty well. But me and Seth were trying to time it as good as we could, so maybe we could get clear up on the top together. But I guess that's all you can do.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. At that point, and I believe they are teammates indeed, so that makes sense, obviously, for them being able to get going right on cue with one another there. So on the non-racing side of things here, Brandon and I have some paint scheme related questions. Initially we're same thing for me when I first saw it. It was kind of assumed to be the Mario and Luigi paint scheme. Any rhyme or reason for Mario and Luigi and Yoshi for the drivers or I guess for the characters for you guys' trucks, or just what's the backstory on those guys?
So we used to Mario Kart in the N64. That was our first racing game when we grew up, and that got us into racing. You drift and you could hop and drift and stuff like that, and so it kind of just stuck with us, and we still play it on the Switch nowadays. So kind of stuck.
All right, so from Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64 to iRacing, and whether or not that's where the super speedway skills were formed with you two. Brad and I were talking about just if you see 2 trucks hooked up together, I don't think there's much of a stouter combo than the 2 of you. So it's impressive what you guys are able to do. And we've chatted with your mom from time to time on YouTube about it as well. She had mentioned just early age, kind of you guys seem to kind of almost be in each other's heads. We're kind of completing each other's sentences and almost knowing what the other is kind of thinking at the time as well. Is that something that you notice? Of course, being one of them, it's one of those things that's easier from the outside probably to look in at it, or is that something you guys recognize and are kind of able to take advantage of that when you get the opportunities?
Just because we're twins and we do that kind of stuff all the time, every day. We just constant communication. So that helps. And we actually ride bikes together, and being a tandem with road bikes. It's actually a lot like super speedways. That's actually where we got um, super speedway skills from, is at road biking. It's all about the draft, and two people together on road bikes. It's crazy what you can do, and it works out in super speedways too.
No, so I'll get you in touch with my brother. So definitely plenty of bicycling on his side as well. So maybe you guys can get the triple tandem going at some point in the future. But man, just awesome job. You guys were, as always, just super stout tonight. So you of course having to bounce back from a little bit of contact there out of turn number 2 at one point in the race as well. So. But yeah, just a great job by you and your brother to be up front, be in contention at the final section of that race. So definitely want to give you the floor and any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that top 3 tonight.
Yeah, good win, Dean. Good race, Bud. In Area 51, awesome league here. Everybody's really fun to drive with, and thank you guys for broadcasting, and anybody watching. Hi, and that was a fun race. Glad you guys watched.
Nah, so I definitely enjoyed that one, Patrick. We'll look forward to catching you guys in the future weeks here. So yeah, enjoy this one. Look forward to seeing you in a few more nights over on the Sunday side of things, most likely. But yeah, until then, though, have a good one. And yeah, congrats again, man.
Hey, thanks.
All right, Brad. Now we got to jump over to our second place finisher. And unfortunately for Bud here, so I don't think he's going to be too distraught about this one, Brandon. But say we're going to grab Bud on in here. But man, Bud, 0.002 of a second. It looked like it was pretty much going to be you and Dean there before that yellow came out. You guys are just kind of rolling on together really well there. I say not formal teammates, but obviously, I mean, you guys have raced together and I think get along pretty well as a whole. You guys are looking really solid there, and then that yellow kind of changed everything at the end. Did you have any kind of thoughts of who and where might the push you needed to be to try to get that win was going to come from? Or, I mean, just what was your mindset, I guess, in those closing laps here?
Well, yeah, congrats to Dean. He did a great job pushing me. I was kind of bummed that that last start went the way it is. I guess I was the 2 on the bottom. They went a little bit early, and Dean saw an opening there, and he jumped down behind them, and it was on from there. Him and Patrick, they had a nice run, and they came back up, and I followed them on, and they got clear, went to the bottom, and BK luckily was there, and he had a good momentum going, and he kept me, in contention there up until the end. But great job, Dean. Love him.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. I'm guessing that feels good. See, like I said, even getting the second, I say probably feels good to say. This will sound wrong, and I apologize, but say for getting one for the OGs, if you will, say some of the original Area 51 guys to get those top 3 finishes. Say you've probably seen enough of those young kids snagging these top 3 finishes away from you guys.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I got to talk to Patrick because I thought maybe I helped him last week. I don't know what happened to him.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, you were the pusher on that one. So yeah, so you've been right in the mix of these the last 2 weeks now. So say these trucks have been working pretty solidly for you, huh?
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun, and this was wow, such a clean race from my perspective. Uh, I'm sure there was some incidents that might not have caused a caution, but wow, it was just really nice job by everybody.
Yeah, so honestly, I think there's just maybe one incident that maybe could have brought out the yellow that didn't, but otherwise, yeah, it was a really clean and green race there. So just to kind of add the drama, though, that one late green-white checker there at the end, but just awesome job tonight, bud. Put yourself in that position and try to get the win. Like I said, just unfortunately, just 2,000ths off there, but a great result, though. But definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that second place tonight?
Well, thanks to BK for the help there at the end, and congrats to Dean, and thank you and Brandon for the broadcast, and thank my beautiful wife, as always. Love her, and I'm sure she's watching, I think. So good job, everybody.
No, it definitely was a lot of fun tonight. So, like I said, go enjoy this and go find her, go hunt her down and spend some time before it's time to call it a night. So yeah, but yeah, enjoy this one. But it was a great result once again for you. So getting some more interviews in with you here lately. So let's say definitely try to keep up this role, man. It's been fun.
Well, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble and be in that top 8 for the championship when it comes down to it this time.
So you're definitely putting yourself on the right step to get to that point. But so yeah, congrats again, man. Great result tonight.
Y'all take care. Thanks, Gaio.
All right, that leaves us one person left to chat with. That's going to be our race winner in that number 55 of Dean Wilkinson. Started in 3rd, finishes in 1st. But man, so you go 3x3x3 for those closing laps. You get that late yellow there with I think about 3 to go if I'm not mistaken. And then at that point, I mean, it's like, okay, well, you're going to have pretty much everybody all back together. I mean, what's the mindset there on that final restart? Just figuring out maybe having your best laid plans kind of set up, and then as you know, I mean, that was never go the way you want it to. I mean, just take us through the thought process there on the caution before the end of the race, and then that late race restart.
With the caution, yeah, I was worried after that caution came out because you know what happens late in the race here. There's always a last lap caution, and it's usually the first 6 cars that get involved. So that was definitely in the back of my mind.
So it was pretty much. I mean, you were pretty much going to be fully committed there to Bud prior to that caution coming out. I'm giving him great pushes in that middle lane there. It just looked like there was just really nowhere else to go, and you guys were running 3x3, pretty much just completely even with one another. And then that yellow comes out. Does that change your thought process? Like, okay, this might be my opportunity to try to do something a little different to put myself in that catbird seat to try to get out in front, or was it just kind of played as it will and just see how things shake out?
No, my plan was to push Bud if I to the win. But the opportunity arose where that lower line took off early and made an opening, and the high line wasn't moving as fast, so I took that opportunity. And Seth, I thank him for Patrick. I thank him for that last lap push, got us up there, and I love Bud too. So thanks, Bud.
Yeah, it's never too bad of a night when you guys get a 1-2 finish. I'll say, like I said, not formal teammates, but I'll say, I mean, you guys might as well be as long as you guys have raced together. And it's like, again, the camaraderie with a good chunk of the league. A lot of these guys, I say, including you now, have been with the league now for multiple years. So definitely always fun to see when you kind of get those guys that you kind of built this league up with to get in those spots. It feels like
Definitely.
It was a great result for you, Dina. Say definitely congrats on the win, well earned. Say it's 2 out of 3 now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for the TW Motorsports boys. Let's have to double check the stats. So not a bad way to. I should say 2 out of 4. I gotta keep up what season we're on now. But so it's looking pretty good for your team here so far this season, huh?
Yeah, we're doing all right, and I'd like to thank the TW boys. They had a little bit bad luck there tonight, but we'll get them next time.
Yeah, so maybe it'll just be one of those things where just little by little, each driver will get the luck that they need here. So, so definitely congrats again here. I said, and before I let you go, though, I don't know if you have anybody else you want to thank that kind of helps you get here or supports you or anything like that. Definitely want to make sure I give you the floor.
Well, I'd like to thank Area 51. This league is really fun. Thank you for the broadcast. Like I said earlier, it's always fun to go back and watch the broadcast. And thank TW Motorsports for the teamwork.
Yeah, so well-deserved win here tonight, Dean. So yeah, definitely enjoy this one. Look forward to seeing you and your teammates over the course of the season, and see if we can get some more of those results like you had at the opening portion of the season there as well. So, but yeah, definitely enjoy this one for now, and then look forward to seeing you going strong next week, sir.
Thank you, sir. Until next time, have a great night.
All right, Brennan, that is our race winner in that number 55 of Dean Wilkinson. But man, as I say, just honestly, it's like one of those things like just you weren't sure who it was going to be there at the end of the race. If obviously we were watching that 3x3 very closely before that yellow came out, and then like I said, I mean, I thought honestly, I figured at that point all bets were off. It was going to be those two teammates, but I think just going that little bit early may have been what bit them there. Unfortunately, their best bet may have been to try to keep that pack kind of just all stuck together, but. And that's play racing. Like you never know what's going to be the right strategy to go for these races. And that being said, though, what an amazing finish there at the end.
It really was, and it just goes to show you that there's no way to really forecast these races. You kind of make your educated decisions and you plan ahead and you do the best you can, but then all chaos breaks loose. Tonight what we saw was some great racing, 3 different sessions of green flag pit stops. And just a lot of clean action with just a little bit of mix-ups there at the end. Whereas last week it was kind of all over the map. But tonight there at the finish, Bud Steele almost making it happen there, and maybe would have if there hadn't been a little bit of contact and taken the momentum away behind him. But you got to give credit to the 55 of Dean Wilkinson being there at the right place at the right time and making all the moves there at the end to make it happen.
Yeah, and I think that's the bigger thing is just the moves that he did make there. I mean, it wasn't just like he sat there and rode. It was he had to be aggressive there, jump to the inside, work the route or work the grooves, and then jump back to the top there when it was time to make that move happen, get back to the front. So, made all the right calls. Obviously got the help he needed there as well, but definitely a well-earned, well-deserved finish there for him. And that 55 was right there in the thick of things, and then just like I said, made the right moves there at the end to grab the win here tonight.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Dean restarted on that last green white checkered in 5th, and just diced his way through the field in the matter of just 2 laps. So great moves, great place, great race, a lot of fun to watch tonight, and watch how the experts go at it.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun here tonight. So, Brenton, as always, really got to thank you. Definitely appreciate you hopping on and kind of covering a little bit extra for me there tonight with those technical difficulties. Thank you all for bearing with us with those. Glad we were able to get them squared away to get the racing in and be able to kind of know where your drivers were at throughout the course of the night. Congrats to our top 3 once again: Dean Wilkinson, Bud Steele, and Patrick Groover. I want to thank you all so much for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. It means a ton to us. We'll be back again on Sunday night for the Super Speedway Xfinity Series. However, until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Happy Friday Eve. And until Sunday, hope you all have a wonderful evening, wonderful weekend. And take care, stay safe, and have a good night.